Hi everyone, and welcome. If you've recently been promoted into a leadership role and you're now managing people who used to be your peers, this video is for you. So making the shift from colleague to leader is a huge milestone. It can be exciting and rewarding, but also emotionally complicated. What do you do when yesterday's lunch buddy is now reporting to you? How do you give feedback to a friend or lead a meeting when the group still sees you as one of them? So let's talk about how to navigate this change with clarity, empathy, and confidence. I'm Dr. Patricia Thompson. I'm a corporate psychologist and executive coach, and I work with professionals across all stages of leadership, from new managers to the C-suite, helping them to grow, lead with purpose, and reach their professional goals. So whether you're early in your leadership journey or you've been leading for a while and you're just now facing this dynamic, you're in the right place. So let's dive in. First, acknowledge the shift to yourself and to your team. So let's start with something simple but often skipped, acknowledging the shift. So some new leaders try to push forward like nothing has changed, but usually that only works for a little while. Sooner or later, something brings the change into focus. Maybe a performance issue, maybe some hesitation around setting expectations, or maybe just a moment when you realize the energy feels different. Your responsibilities have evolved. You're not just responsible for your own work anymore. You're now responsible for enabling others to succeed, for guiding, coaching, and making decisions that impact the whole team. So obviously, you don't need to become a completely different person, but you do need to lead differently. And part of that starts with honesty. Even a simple statement like, I know this is a shift for all of us, and I want us to be able to talk about it openly, can help to ease tension and build trust. And if one of your peers also applied for the role, consider having a one-on-one conversation. Acknowledge the potential awkwardness. Let them know that you value their contributions. And if it makes sense, look for opportunities to support their growth, maybe through a new responsibility or stretch assignment. This kind of openness can really set a strong foundation for your leadership. So some things you could reflect on and ask yourself might be, how do I want others to experience me in this role? And what values will guide me as a leader? Second, set clear expectations and boundaries. So let's talk about clarity. When roles change, but the expectations aren't redefined, people can start to feel unsure, and that's where resentment or confusion could creep in. So it's important to be specific about your expectations. What does success look like? What are your priorities? How do you plan to support the team? So you really want to think about what the role requires, not just what feels comfortable based on how you've operated in the past. And it's also worth reflecting on some old habits. So something as simple as a recurring lunch with a favorite colleague might now come across as favoritism, or a private group text that you used to be a part of might no longer be appropriate. One leader told me, I'm not in the group chat anymore, and I get it, but honestly, it feels a little weird. So these things may seem small, but they do send signals. So you want to take a step back and really think about whether your behaviors promote fairness, professionalism, and inclusivity. Consistency is really one of the most important tools you have. And so when people know what to expect from you and see that the same standards apply to everyone, then they'll be more likely to trust your leadership. So ask yourself, what expectations need to be clarified? And are there any habits that I need to shift to lead more effectively? Third, redefine what success looks like. So let's move to success and how it's defined. When you're a peer, success often means excelling at your own work. So things like, performing well, standing out, or being recognized. But as a leader, the definition of success shifts. Your job is no longer about being the star performer on your own. It's about helping others to shine. And that means removing barriers, creating clarity, giving useful feedback, and helping people to grow. And if you do those things, then that's what will make you a star performer. Recently I coached a leader who had just taken on a new role, leading former peers, And she was struggling to keep up with the load because she wasn't delegating. And as we were talking, she told me that she didn't want to burden her team, and so she was taking on activities that really should have been done by someone else. And while her intentions were good, the fact is that by holding back, she was actually depriving her team of growth, right? Opportunities to stretch, build new skills, and practice prioritization. And she was also putting herself at the risk of burnout because she was doing way more than she needed to be. And so the truth is, leadership doesn't mean having all the answers. It means asking good questions, facilitating thoughtful conversations, and creating the space where your team can do their best work. So that's what success looks like. So ask yourself, how can I best support the growth of others? And what does success look like through the lens of leadership? Fourth, don't avoid difficult conversations. So now let's address something that can really make many new leaders uncomfortable: tough conversations. It can feel awkward to give critical feedback to someone who you used to grab lunch with. And as a result, you might find yourself making excuses or attempting to avoid the issue altogether. But that avoidance typically creates bigger problems over time. The performance issues continue, resentment grows, and your high performers may begin to question whether the environment is truly fair. But when you have those conversations early and approach them with care and clarity, you reinforce your integrity as a leader. So what you want to do is be honest, but kind. Let the person know that you're coming from a place of support and that your goal is to help them to succeed in their role. And yes, the conversation can be uncomfortable, but again, that's what the role demands. So ask yourself, what conversations am I avoiding, and what might be the cost of staying silent? And also, how can I lead with both compassion and clarity? And last, prioritize your own growth as a leader. So let's talk about you. Leadership isn't something you master once and then forget about. It's a process, actually a practice, and it's one that evolves over time. So as you settle into your role, take time to reflect. What's going well? Where are you feeling stretched? What skills would you like to strengthen? And you might even want to keep a leadership journal, just a place, to jot down insights, lessons learned, or ideas you want to revisit later. Also, surround yourself with support. That might be a mentor, a peer group, or someone who can give you honest feedback. And don't hesitate to ask your team too. You don't need to have it all figured out, because just showing that you're committed to growth will really set a powerful example. So ask yourself, where do I feel most confident as a leader? And what would help me to show up even more effectively in this next phase? Becoming a leader of former peers definitely can have some potential pitfalls and challenges, but it's also a really great opportunity to give you some new skills. Handled thoughtfully, it allows you to deepen trust, develop your leadership voice, and help your team grow, all while continuing to grow yourself. So take the time, lead with integrity, keep asking the right questions, and again, think about it through the lens of what the role demands. So if this video resonated with you, please like, comment, or subscribe. I've actually decided that I'm going to try to get up to 1,000 subscribers, so help me out here. And if you've gone through this transition yourself, I'd love to hear what worked for you. So you can share your stories or your advice in the comments. Thanks for watching. Keep leading with intention. Again, I'm Dr. Patricia Thompson, and I will see you next time.